evening. Welcome to the December 15th, 2020 meeting of the Mount Vernon City School District Board of Education. This is our last meeting of the year 2020. So happy holidays to everyone. Can we take a roll, Mr. McCormick?
Yes, ma'am. Trustee Red. Trustee Turnquist.
Here.
Trustee Crump. Trustee Mitchell. Trustee Patterson. Trustee McOwen.
Present.
Trustee White.
Present.
Trustee Saunders.
Here.
Trustee Miller.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Wonderful. Do we have any communications from the public?
There are no communications this evening.
Okie dokie. Dr. Hamilton, do you have a presentation?
I do. Good evening, everyone. Good to see you all. And let me take this opportunity, as this is our final meeting before the holiday. Wish you all a happy holiday, happy Hanukkah. Be safe, enjoy, and celebrate the season in spite of COVID, and be ever mindful of a spirit of Thanksgiving and a spirit of gratuity. So with that said, Madam President, I do have a couple of items I'd like to share, but the first item is kind of a combined presentation. We wanted to give the board and the public an update where we are relative to our technology initiative and Smart Bond. And the board has also communicated to me an effort to ramp up our efforts to reach our community members. So as a first step to that, we are going to share with you our launch our campaign for the district app, because we think that is perhaps one of the most convenient way, or certainly not the only, but one of the most convenient ways to communicate. So before I get into the particulars of my report, I'm going to ask Dr. Gorman if he and Joe, there you are, if Dr. Gorman and Joe McGrath will facilitate the technology update.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Great. So Joe and Rick, I'm going to facilitate. I'm just going to ask you to contribute based off of our preparation for this. We wanted to really update you on the School Smart Bond Act, give you a technology update from about 3 or 4 weeks ago when the world was ending. And now we're in a much better place, so we want to update you there. And Rick will give you a preview of some of the highlights that have started and are to come on promoting the Mount Vernon City School District app in an effort to increase communication, and anything that we can do to over communicate in this time is something that we want to continue to do. Every person we get to on any given day is helping us maximize communication efforts. So on that note, Joe, if you want to just start off with the history of the Smart School Bond Act and where we are.
Sure. So back in 2017, when life was sort of normal, we did our initial filing for the Smart School Bond Act. This was something through New York State, and the district was awarded roughly $7.9 million to use for technology infrastructure. For use for technology. Our filing was for technology infrastructure. Incorporated in that, we did have to fund some money towards non-publics, and we were very strategic in how we filed, so that the district was able to actually hold on to the majority of the funds, and roughly $40,000 went into non-public schools. The rest of it, the district was able to capture and to use for technology infrastructure was the filing. From 2017 to 2019, that application sat in New York State because they had some new regulations, and basically they changed the program. So all the applicants were essentially frozen. In the spring of 2019, working with the board and in conjunction with New York State, we were able to actually get first in line, and we agreed to pilot a new program under new program guidelines. So we essentially redid our filing. Filing usually takes about 6 months. We did it in about 3 weeks, very aggressively, and we were able to get front of the line. And as a result of our successful pilot, we were actually able to be approved in a very short time. After waiting for 2 years, we redid the filing. We were approved in about 2 months. So that was really exciting. And then the money was allocated towards a couple of projects. The STEAM security and wiring and network upgrades, the Mandela network wiring, security upgrade, security system, all the infrastructure, network systems, et cetera, the wireless, telephones and intercoms at both buildings, as well as a district-wide intrusion detection system. So this is that when if somebody were to break in, there's now high-tech security in the schools, which basically would alert us and call the police and make our schools just that much safer. So, and then finally, we had money left or allocated towards other projects. So this is where we are right now with this team. We have $2 million. This was the filing. We're at 90% complete. So we're just, we're getting very close to close that one out. Mandela, we're at 95%, even closer. Our intrusion detection system, most schools are operational fully. And so there's just a few button-up items there, roughly $800,000, leaving about $3.7 million for the Mount Vernon High School and other district upgrades. So that design project is going to commence in 2021, and it'll include things like looking at rewiring Mount Vernon High School, network security upgrades, and network upgrades for the district.
Yep. So what we wanted to do is just give you a brief overview of it. Kevin Austin is here as well. If you have any specific questions at the end of the presentation, keep in mind the paperwork for this bond act has been so extensive, and we cut through a lot of barriers. And if you recall, a couple of years ago at Mandela, we were one of the first to receive funding and allocations for the Smart School Bond Act. So on that note, let us give you an update on where we are with our technology devices, Wi-Fi, help desk, and where we were since we left off with you. Joe, you want to just touch on these slides with me?
Sure. So this represents the number of students at each school that have requested a device. And I want to stress that every student who has requested a device has been offered one. In addition, schools have reached out directly to families and said, hey, why don't you come in? Why don't you pick up a device? We have one for you. So, so this is the number of devices per school that has been, a lot of parents have said, we've got something at home. We're going to stay remote. We don't need a district device. All the students that are in, that have in any way indicated that they want one. And like I said, some that were reluctant at first have been offered these. So this is the school offerings. Most of these devices have been picked up. I do know that in each school, there's a few devices that a few parents have picked up. But as you can see, we're basically 80%, 79% of the district that has been offered a device, and the remaining 20% is basically students that have said, we're good, we don't need one.
And
so,
I do want to comment on something, Joe. I was at the high school on the opening of our phase 3 the other day on Monday. And Dr. Hamilton's vision of kids need to be in school is correct. I can't tell you how many parents and kids were here to get laptops on opening day in the sleet and the rain on that first day when the kids were actually physically coming to school. I saw kids literally holding their box with their laptop that they were just received. And I must have guided about 10 parents into the gym after they took their temperature and filled out their COVID form to help them receive devices. So it's sort of like, you got to get there. Once you get there, it's like muscle memory, and the kids seemed really excited about having these devices. Similarly, we have made a big move on providing Wi-Fi for people that do not have it in the district. And Joe, just touch on the partnership that we had with this company and the barrier that we initially had versus what we had with the freedom and the access that kids have now to the internet in Mount Vernon.
So as you can imagine, if you have a device but you don't have access to the internet, this online learning, it just doesn't work. So again, we reached out to families. We asked them who needed. Schools continually reach out. And so we've offered over 650 students Wi-Fi access paid for by the district. So that is actually, each device can hold up to 5 students can be on simultaneously. Our plans currently, we have two plans. One is a partnership we have with Sprint, and one is we have a partnership with Khajiit. And so we have actually run into some issues where somebody has said, hey, I just don't have enough because the Sprint actually are limited, the Khajiit are not. So whenever somebody runs into that, we swap them out and we give them what they need. The point being is that we want to make sure that internet access is not a barrier for our students. So we've been very aggressive in making sure that our students and there are a lot of stories out there that folks that originally said, I'm good, I've got a job, I'm working, and through this COVID have found themselves, they've lost their job and now they're trying to figure out how to make it work. And we've been able to support them by providing a hotspot for them, just, with a simple phone call to us, and we're able to take care of them. So very successful overall. And like I said, over 650 students have benefited from this program.
And
That's
I
awesome.
I want to take an opportunity to kind of just offer some kudos in terms of our degree of service. I know we get a lot of criticism on social media, and there's been a lot of shaming going on for people who elect to send their kids to school. But I need to say that the district has done an extraordinary job with trying to meet the needs of kids. And case in point, we've had families who made kids who live with older grandparents, or mom is home and she can't get out because she's got 5 kids at home and an infant. And we've been getting services to these families by going to their homes and taking devices to them if they couldn't get to us. So I just wanted to share that and give kudos to the technology team and Brother Muhammad, who I know has also made home visits to take devices to parents, so that we continue to work to eliminate barriers to success for our kids.
And Dr. Hamilton, take a look at these numbers at Edward Williams, Graham, and Grimes School. Those are big numbers as it relates to digital access.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like we have seriously closed the gap there. That's impressive in my mind.
Yep.
Okay, so we had some quick barriers when we were distributing all of our devices and saving the world and transforming the district technology-wise. So about 3 weeks ago, we came to the board and you said, what do you need from us? And we said, well, we need some more support. So the first thing that was granted by the board was the addition of 3 temporary technicians for 10 weeks. These extra resources have allowed us to provide better service for parents while continuing to prep and repair close to 7,000 devices. And remember, we've gone from a district that had about 500 devices in kids' hands to about 7,000 and staff in literally a couple of months. So these extra technicians, when they weren't out on leave on quarantine, have been very, very helpful to us. We also asked for a short-term consultant for 4 weeks to help set up inventory controls, processes, and provide program support. The task was to provide a better inventory tracking system and transition our spreadsheet inventory to more of a formalized system, because we know that tracking and inventory is very important when you're talking about all these devices, ensuring them and keeping them accountable. The consultant started with us for a couple of days and then said that it was just too much for him to commit at this time. So he actually didn't charge us for the work that he started. And we are still moving forward, and we're going to try to use existing staff and explore other options to continue to do this while working parallel to our regular workload. And Joe and his team are doing a really nice job of that. The last piece was to hire a clerical person to assist with inventory and questions from the parents, including access and update on follow-up on work orders. So in other words, hello, this is a real live human voice when there's technology issues. We are in the process of hiring this person and going through applications. However, we are not receiving complaints that the work is not being met. And so I know Joe has stepped it up, but we still think it's important to have a live voice at the help desk, and we are working to accomplish that goal. Joe, we'll just briefly speak on the help desk update, because I know that was an issue a couple of weeks ago with some unopened help desk work orders.
Sure. So part of our success really talks to using data effectively. And when we reviewed the student data, one of the things that I noticed was that we just weren't getting back to students fast enough. So we kind of modified our approach so that certainly within 2 business days, the expectation is that all students we reach out to them, and we actually are resolving tickets much faster. So sometimes you run into issues where there's an issue with the device has to be swapped out. We have to work with the parent schedule. So sometimes those tickets will take longer to close. But all in all, 83% of our student tickets that are resolved are done so within 2 days. And 97% of those tickets that are resolved are done within 5 days. So there's always a few things that, either somebody can't make it or there's an extenuating circumstance. But I think this data really speaks to itself in terms of the turnaround story and how we're really meeting the needs of these families. For the staff desk, same thing. We're going back to that data. 88% of our resolved tickets right now within 2 days, and 98% of the resolved tickets are resolved within 5 days. So, you know, this is a big difference from where we started, because again, once we got those devices out, we freed up the techs and we're able to kind of use the data to look at our process. And it's worth noting that this year to date, we've already closed more tickets than we did during the entire 2016-2017 school year. So really, I have to give a strong kudos to the technicians. They are really bringing it forward and really supporting our students.
And on that note, lastly, the board is asked to promote the app to increase communication. Rick, this is your big debut on presentation. Are you ready? All right, let's see what you got, Rick. Here it is.
All right, thanks, Dr. Gorman. So on December 7th, the district relaunched an app initiative to encourage all of our families and our community members to download the district app. As you can see in the right-hand side of the corner, that is a copy of a flyer that is being backed home with all the students. The app is available in the App Play Store for iOS devices, as well as the Google Play Store for Android devices. And to ease our community's ability to download it, these QR codes are available on all of our app promotions. So all somebody has to do is hold their phone up to there with their camera activated, and it'll automatically open up a link right to the App Store of that device, and you can download the app. It is free to download it. The Facebook and the other thing that we're doing, we are launching a Facebook app contest. We are asking people who download the app between now and January 15th to take a screenshot of the app on their telephone and post it on our social media page so we know that they downloaded it. Everybody who downloads it and posts it like that will be entered into a drawing to win one of 2 Amazon gift cards. And we are excited about that because we are looking over time to start reducing our reliance on robocalls to push out information to the community. More and more of the robocalls are information-based as opposed to emergency-based. So over time, we plan to reduce that and rely more on the app to get this information out. Additionally, we're going to be engaging our teachers to be app ambassadors in the classrooms to encourage their students and their students' families and parents to get the app. And hopefully before the end of this week, we'll be launching a 60 to 90 second video that will show families and parents step-by-step how to download the app, the information that is available on the app, how to access that information, and how best to use that app to get the information they need from the school district.
Thank you, Rick. Nice job. Dr. Hamilton, that concludes our presentation this evening.
Awesome. Board trustees, any questions, Madam President?
I would just like to say that's what I'm talking about. When I talk about customer service, this is great. I'm really pleased that you guys were able to respond to the concerns and to the moment. You know, obviously we're relying so much on moment-to-moment information. This is fantastic. The app, I have seen it. I've seen the QR code and everything, and I think this is great. And I think the only question I have is, do we want to say, I mean, we're saying download the app for the latest COVID-19 information, but it's really also for the latest district information. But I guess for now, we're going to do it, just focus on the COVID for now.
Yeah, well, that's the primary information that we've been.
That's changing day to day.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think this is great, and I really appreciate the team focusing on this. I appreciate what your team has done, Joe, and Jeff and Rick. And I think if we just keep pushing on this, it's going to really benefit us in huge ways. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Any other board members want to make a comment about this?
Oh, great job.
Great job, man. Great job. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago and we're here. So
Yep.
Yeah.
that's progress.
I downloaded the app and it works very well for me.
Yeah.
It does work
Quick.
well.
Me as well. And Rick, could you give that information again? When they download it, take a picture of it. What do they do now? Send it.
So once they download the app, we're asking them to take a screenshot of it on their phone or their mobile device, and then post it on our Facebook page as a comment. And then we'll collect all the names of everybody who's done that, and they'll be entered into a drawing to win one of 2 Amazon gift cards on January 15th, I think was the date we selected.
Perfect. Thank you.
And the gift cards are $50 each, and I am putting up personal funds to support that.
Okay, Micah?
Yeah, echo everybody. Great job, and that's a very quick response. The app is great. I've been using it every day to get to the resources page to know how to get to my kids' homework. I've used it every single day of this school year. It's a great resource, and everybody should be relying on it heavily. I just had a question about, thank you also for the numbers on internet connectivity and the hotspots, which was a great solution. And we talked about that, back early in the school year about how to get internet connections, and this is definitely the best way. What is the partnership timeline that we have with the providers for the hotspots? Is that something that's going to expire this school year, or is it through the end of the year? Do we know what is the relationship for that?
So
Joe, you want to speak on that? Go ahead.
Yep. All right. It's a 1-year commitment from Khajiit to provide this. Normally, these devices have a cap of 30 gigs a month. These are unlimited this year. And so 30 gigs sounds like just a tremendous amount of data, but when you're zooming in all day long, it really isn't. So we're going to have to revisit. We'll see what the company comes back with an offer, and we're going to have to figure out how we want to.
No, that's good though. I'm so glad these families that are using this have that security. Because I know when we first talked about this, we didn't know if it was going to be 30 days or 3 months or what was going to happen. So I'm glad we can rely on that at least for this school year, and then depending on how things are next summer, we can revisit what's going to happen.
Yeah, we are building it into our budget defense conversations with Dr. Hamilton as well.
Good.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, if I can proceed. Thank you, gentlemen, for your reports tonight, the presentation tonight. On the agenda tonight, you're going to be asked to consider a power hour. This is a new item for secondary schools. We normally do not do power hour for our high school students, but we are putting this in place to assist students who have experienced or maybe experienced some regression due to COVID. So we don't have Regents prep this year, obviously, because the Board of Regents has postponed Regents or canceled Regents for this year. So we are putting this in place as an additional support for our secondary students. I also just want to take a moment to talk to you about COVID. As you notice, I have been trying to streamline the calls to one a day and saving up the reports until the end of the day. And we've been pretty successful with that for the most part, at least for the last week or so. But we are seeing numbers of infection in schools spiking. Now, so far, there's been no evidence of any infection occurring in school. Almost in every case anyway, it's been people who have been infected someplace else and come to school and it gets reported. But nonetheless, our numbers are starting to increase, and it's starting to impact schools and buildings' principals' ability to staff their buildings. We've been working around it, but I just want you all to know that if this pattern continues, we may have to think about going back to remote in order to try to mitigate some of the cases that we are seeing. You should also know that the state changed, the governor in particular changed the cluster designation pattern. It was previously associated with the number of cases in a particular area, and that would then determine if you were a yellow, red, or orange. So he made this change last week, and now they are using the number of hospital beds that are available to determine what designation you were in. So under the old criteria, we were in a red zone. Under the new criteria, we are not. So we are monitoring that data as well, and wanted you to know that our goal continues to be to keep students in school for those who elect to do so. But we are finding that it is getting increasingly more difficult to do so. You're also being asked to consider tonight a pay increase for this year only for per diem substitutes. We want to try to incentivize people to sub more in our district. Most people either take jobs in other places that pay more. So we are now trying to be a little more competitive, and that again is limited for this school year. We have had a very seamless opening of phase 3. I visited the high schools was it just yesterday? Just yesterday. I visited the high schools and everyone was in place. Everything seemed to work smoothly. There was a little backup at Mount Vernon High School with scanning the temperatures, the temperature scanner. So we put another process in place that worked well and put some manual scanners out there. They were working very well this morning. And also, I did call for an early dismissal tomorrow because of the anticipated weather event. So the district will close tomorrow half day. Time varies from school to school based on their arrival time, obviously. So the schedule is up on the district website and on Facebook. But it's between 11:45 and 12:15, I think is the latest. Most of our schools will end at 12 o'clock, but there are a few exceptions. And central office will also close early so that people can get ahead of this. If you recall, the last time there was a snow event and it kind of snuck up on people, there were major issues across the state with people getting stranded, taking 4 or 5 hours to get home. And we want to try to avoid that this year. So that's why we're doing that. And then on Thursday, we will be piloting our remote asynchronous instructional day. And so what that means very specifically is instead of calling for a snow day that is not an instructional day, we are piloting, since we now have experience with remote learning, what this alternative might look like on a snow day. It does not impact the number of days kids will be in school or the number of days teachers will teach, because we will take those days off the calendar someplace else. So what I've said today on the message that went out, and I did a video today that'll be posted later on, is based on attendance. If we have a good attendance rate and students are engaged in this remote day, then we'll be able to count that as an instructional day, and we'll make a longer Memorial Day weekend or tack it at the end of the year and be able to get out earlier. And if this goes well when we have an event, we'll make a decision on whether or not that's a snow event or not. It's interesting that I've gotten some feedback that some students and teachers and parents, for that matter, kind of feel like, oh, it's a snow day, let it be a snow day. But our kids have had a lot of snow days with COVID, theoretically. So we really want to try to keep instruction as continuous as possible instead of the stop and go that we've been experiencing. So we'll try it and see how it goes. And Thursday will be our first shot at it. So that concludes my report this evening, Madam President.
Thank you. Is that, Dr. Hamilton, is there a specific threshold that you're looking for on the attendance?
Yes, we have to hit, what is it, BC, the state mandate, 85%?
Yes.
So we need 85% of our students present in order for it to count an instruction as an instructional day. And if we don't miss that, make it, then we'll list it as a snow day and we'll keep moving.
Okay.
Question.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Are teachers required to take attendance?
Schoology takes attendance automatically. So the teachers don't have to do that. When students log on, Schoology automatically generates an attendance report.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So just to be crystal clear, I know you're going to send the video out later. No, there's no Zoom classes on Thursday. This is just do homework at home. And if at least 85% of the students do the work that's assigned through Schoology independently without using a teacher on Thursday, we can count it as an instructional day.
That is correct. If we can demonstrate that our students took advantage of the remote instruction, that teachers instructional lessons that teachers posted specifically for this, there's a continuation. It's a little different than homework. It's more about the continuation of the lesson in the classroom. Then yes, that will count as instructional day. And of course, you know, there are going to be teachers who are going to pop on there and check on kids because that's what our teachers will do. But it is an asynchronous day.
Great. It's good.
All right.
Do you mind explaining to the listeners what asynchronous means?
Surely.
Thank you.
Surely. So I was having this conversation with someone today, just to give you an example. If you get confused on the word think of oh, it was you, Ken. That's right. That's right. It was Ken Silver. Think of synchronized swimming. And in synchronized swimming, everybody is moving in harmony. They're together at the same time. And a synchronized instructional day is one where the teachers and students are on at the same time and engaging like we're engaging tonight. This would be an example of a synchronized session. An asynchronous session is one where the teachers may be on at one point and kids may be on at another point, but they are not necessarily on at the same time. The whole district is not unified on a particular schedule, so that makes it asynchronous.
Right.
Ken, I'm sorry, Ken, could you explain it one more, Dr. Hamilton, can you explain it one more time?
Sure.
What's going to determine us being shut down and going fully remote? What is going to determine that? Because people are asking me, why don't y'all just shut down? And what is going to determine that?
There are two things that will impact that, Trustee. One is if the state changes our designation, that will obviously dictate or impact that decision, although we don't necessarily have to close down for testing, but that is one of the criteria. And the other is really just getting a sense of how we are managing the impact of the closures. When we get to the point that we have half the school in session for 14 days and another half of the kids working remotely, and then some examples we have to look at whether or not it's even cost effective to operate when teachers are working virtual from in classroom and their in-person kids and their remote students. So there is no set number that I'm looking for, Trustee, but more about being able to maintain a consistent flow of instruction. So if we continue to break that consistency with instruction by stopping and starting and stopping and starting, I'll just have to make a determination about the efficacy of remaining open.
Now, I have one more question. How did everything go with us shutting down that week? How did that affect this week?
I think it broke the pattern because I was getting 3 or 4 calls a day before we went to that last week shutdown. And yet today was an anomaly. We've had a case here and there. Today we had 4 cases, and there are a couple of other cases that people have been recommended to get tested. So let's just say that of those cases, what I'll be looking at is whether or not those people who are positive had an impact on other people just by being around them in the building. Then that may say to me that there is an opportunity to cross-contaminate each other in the building, and that may impact a decision to close.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I think basically the message seems to be that we're not experiencing, and this is true for a lot of districts, transmission in the school. We are, identifying people who have tested positive, and then we are quarantining them. But, to the extent that we end up with the more and more cases, it may be impossible to staff the school and run the school efficiently. So
exactly. Perfect summary. Thank you.
I'm trying to get it right in my head as well. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Can I just ask Ken one more question? So Dr. Hamilton, can you just talk to the listeners and us on Zoom about the nurses that are in our schools?
So I met with the nurse. Yes, I met with the nurses this week just to kind of help them to understand, to better communicate my expectations. I think that was what ultimately was accomplished. Because our nurses really have to be our frontline workers. They have to be our essential workers. And there was some disparities in some of their assignments, particularly during the closure. We have nurses, for example, that serve in some of our pre-K programs or our private schools. And we just needed to communicate the expectation about duties and assignments, and people are across the continuum, nurses are across the continuum in terms of their comfort with managing COVID and managing cases. So during the course of our meeting, we talked about nurses taking a more, and this was their request, to take a more frontline approach and help principals manage these cases more, and helping them make decisions about where people are being quarantined, when people are being quarantined and where. We also talked more about Dr. Gaon, who is the immediate supervisor for the nurses, to consult also with our medical director to give nurses more information so that they're better equipped with where we are in the district and how to manage COVID. I think they have kind of been, they should have been engaged in the conversations more, quite frankly, instead of just being lumped together with staff as a general approach. And so they were able to articulate that when we met Thursday or Friday. So I think we're in a much better place in terms of what those expectations are and how to better utilize them because of their experience and training.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Does anyone else have any other questions before we move on to committee reports, if there are any? Okay. Does anyone have a committee report this evening?
I don't, but I would like to say what I've been hearing around the district, to give a shout out to our custodial staffs and our cleaners, because a lot of the teachers feel that they are working above, beyond and above, trying to keep their building disinfected all the time. So, and a lot of people have told me that Edward Williams is finally up to par at cleanliness.
Great. It's good to hear.
But it's good that the custodian staff is working.
It's great. Does anyone else have a report or a comment? Mame?
Yeah, I do. So I have like two parts. The good part, so congrats to the kids at the, we had an honor roll meeting at STEAM just a couple of days ago, and there were like over 150 kids there. So I want to say congrats to all of them because everyone is doing really well. And also last Wednesday, we started like this social justice committee. Dr. Gorman was there. And basically we were talking with students from all around the United States about social justice, especially in schools, and equity, and talking to teachers about biases and how to make our schools fit a certain standard, like concerning discrimination, certain things like that. So we only have one meeting. We're probably going to have one in January or February, but we started that. The bad part, one, hybrid, this is not really a bad thing, but it's not as bad as I thought. Yesterday was a little bit rocky because teachers were trying to figure out like how to connect the laptop to the smart board and teach the kids in the class with the same board that they were teaching the kids online. And it's kind of difficult because there are more kids online than in the class for some teachers, but it seems to be working, especially today. They seem to have gotten it figured out, so that's good. I guess the bad part is I want to bring up Wednesdays yet again, because a lot of people, teachers and students, keep talking about how it was meant to be like a catch-up day, a homework day. Seniors are applying to schools and need a day off to like do stuff, sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours. It's really, really difficult. So would there be any possible way of bringing back Wednesdays?
I'm certainly open to it. Obviously, what we've been trying to do is make up for lost time. Principals feel really strongly about students needing more instructional time because of the gaps in their instruction. So that's why we revamped the schedule for our secondary students. I am hearing from students about the overload and feeling that they're kind of maxed out. I'm hoping that the break will give people a chance to kind of download and get a bit of relief. But if it continues after the break, which we have essentially 5 more instructional days between now and the break, we will reassess it. And if you come back at this report after the break and that's still the pulse, then we'll set up a little committee, perhaps through the advisory group, and we'll talk about reversing that.
Great.
Fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
And that was it for me. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mame. No one else? Anyone else? I had a meeting we had a follow-up meeting with the audit committee on December. It was right before the last week's meeting where we didn't do committee reports. And I just want to say that I met with Mr. McGrath, Dr. Gorman, and Mr. Silver, and we're making really great progress. They explained the tools that we're looking at as part of a, really an efficiency suite, the technology tools. And there's some really great things that are available to us that we're exploring and moving towards implementation on. So I'm excited because I think anything that can reduce the manual work and data entry work and multiple entries reduces mistakes, but also frees up our people to do the more important work of instruction and mentoring and coaching of our students. So I was very excited by that meeting, and I look forward to seeing some of these things come to fruition, because there are some really great tools out there that we can access that will help us become even better than we already are. So that was very exciting. And that's my report. So on that note, we have a brief agenda tonight. I know you're all going to miss us if we don't go till 9:30 or 10, but I don't see how we can do it unless someone really wants to talk a lot. And then
Elmo.
Ken, I did Elmo on a family Zoom with my brothers. It was pretty good. They thought it was a good idea. Anyway, all right. So
and Darcy, could you explain to everyone out there what Elmo means?
Elmo. Well, most people know who Elmo is, the character from Sesame Street, but Elmo is an acronym. It's Elmo, ELMO, stands for Enough, Let's Move On. So it's basically a polite way of saying, we've talked about this subject. I think for enough time, we could take it offline, discuss a little more in depth later, but for the purposes of the conversation we're presently having, enough, let's move on. So it's a fun way to just say to people, okay, we really do need to move on, and being cognizant of the fact that many of you work all day and then come to do these meetings in the evening. I have great respect and admiration for you, but I do not want to waste your time. So with that being said, let's move on to the agenda. We have a very light agenda, as I mentioned. I would like a motion to approve Human Resources Resolution 5.1.
Motion.
Trustee McCollum.
Motion. Second.
Trustee Saunders.
Any questions about this resolution?
Nope.
Oh.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay. Motion carries. May I have a motion to approve Human Resources Resolution 5.2?
Motion.
Trustee Saunders.
Second.
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Okay. Motion carries. Business Office. A motion to consider Resolution 6.1 in the Business Office, which has multiple parts.
Motion.
Trustee Saunders.
Second.
Trustee Turnquist.
Any questions about these really great things, the donations, and the kind of not so great things about the certiorari settlements?
I know.
Money comes in and it goes out. What can I say? Any questions about these? I think we reviewed the certiorari things in previous meetings. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. School improvement. A motion to approve school improvement resolution 7.1. This is the one that Dr. Hamilton was referring to about teachers for the academic power hour for our secondary school students, which I think is very exciting.
Motion.
Trustee
Second.
Any questions about this? Just so you know that this is contingent on participation, that what we pay our teachers. So nobody shows up, we can't, we're not going to pay the teachers, but it's an amazing service and we need it now more than ever. So I think it's wonderful. I'm glad we're doing this, BC. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. May I have a motion to approve student services resolution 8.1?
Motion.
Second.
Trustee McOwen.
Any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Buildings and grounds, none. None. Everybody wants to go eat those holiday cookies. Okay, may I have a next we come to acceptance of minutes. So be sure that if you're voting on this, that you were in attendance at that meeting. And Rick, I'm not sure, we may have a couple where we don't have a quorum.
I just thought
Anyway, so may I have a motion to approve resolution 11.1, the minutes from November 4th?
Motion.
Motion. Second.
Trustee McOwen, Trustee Saunders.
Any comments about these minutes?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay. May I have a motion to approve minutes from November 19th?
Motion.
Second.
We were all there, so.
We were.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. May I have a motion to approve resolution 11.3, the minutes from last week,
Motion.
December 8th?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Madam President, before we move on, I just want to go back and just in case our donors are listening to say thank you again. A very delightful family who they don't even live in our community, but they have been watching our work and paying attention from afar. And they wanted to do something for a community that they thought was up and coming, and because they were so pleased with the things they saw happening in the district, they were also pleased about the continuity in leadership. They were very informed people about how important consistency is and vision and things of that sort. And so I just want to again say thank you to the family. This money is donated to do whatever they feel that wherever I feel that this donation should go. And they're also interested in coming back and revisiting us in the spring. I'll share with them a report on what we ultimately do with it, but they're open to doing it again, as long as the district continues on this track. So thank you for
Thank you.
all
Thank
the
you.
things that will benefit.
Thank you
the
from all of
general
us.
Thank you.
Yes, from all of us.
We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now what do you like to talk about? Only kidding.
community.
Well, this concludes our meeting. We do not have executive session this evening. So this concludes our meeting, our final meeting of the year that was nutty, 2020. Does anyone have any, Trustee McOwen?
I had a question in reflecting on the year, Dr. Hamilton. Are we aware of any staff or students or family members of students who have passed away due to COVID? Do we have a list of anything like that?
We do have some families that have been directly impacted. Our crisis team is aware. Our school social workers are aware, and where we've needed to or had the information, we have reached out to those families. I know I've communicated with 2 families in particular, and our social workers have. So yes, we do have that.
All right.
Dr. Hamilton, usually around this time of year, we donate non-perishables to some families. Are we still going to do that? Is there a box somewhere we can drop off some clothes or toys or
Thank you for bringing that up. We've actually been discouraged from doing things that would encourage 2 things. One, people coming to a central place for any purpose, but that in particular, and 2, donating items to families amidst COVID and not having procedures in place to ensure that they are COVID free, just concerning recommendations from entities that have kind of discouraged that. So we haven't really done that this year. However, we have had some new items that people have given that have gone through the homeless liaison's office, where they've been able to vet those things, and they may have come directly from stores, for example, or packaged in a certain way. And she has given that to those families that we know are in need.
If you go to the Salvation Army in Mount Vernon actually has a pretty robust program, and they get high ratings. It's down on South 3rd. And I've been there, and my husband and I just made a donation there today. So if you go on their website, you can actually make, they're looking for warm clothes, new and used.
I wanted to donate some toys to some children that may need.
YCOP's doing Thrive. YCOP
is doing something too.
And our parent liaisons, they have been very instrumental in knowing who their families are that have certain needs. We've referred them to agencies, and they have gotten that kind of support. But yeah, reach out to Dr. BC. She can connect you with any one of our parent liaisons, Trustee Saunders, so that you can do that.
Yeah, because we usually get a family. I think Wanda and I have gotten a family before, and we bought some Christmas stuff for them.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
so maybe if it's not too much, if Dr. BC, if you could ask the liaisons to, maybe put together, if you could just give us a quantify, the number of families that they have identified, so that those of us who want to give and to promote giving to those families can help.
That would be great.
Or even just a general announcement on the app for people who do want to make a contribution or donate something, how can they help?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since this is our last meeting before the break, Dr. Hamilton, can you just review quickly for the public what, I assume the food services are continuing over the break. What's happening over the break?
No, over the break, food services will not be continuing.
Okay.
Of course, for Thursday, for instance, an inclement weather day, food services will not be available. The half day, of course, food services will be, but over the break, food services are suspended.
Okay, and that's effective as of the last day of instruction?
That is correct. That the last day will be the 23rd.
23rd, okay.
Yes.
Okay, one more thing. Also, I have a very dear friend of mine who was looking to donate a piano.
We can have Michael Policio is our conduit for that. We've had several people donate pianos. Some have been tremendous and in great shape.
Right.
Others, it costs more to repair them than it would cost to buy them. So Michael will look at it and say, yes, this makes sense, or maybe it's not. But we're always open. We're not turning it down without the inspection.
All right, cool.
All right.
I'd like to wish everybody a happy holiday, safe, healthy, and just be safe. Thank you.
Thank
guys.
you. Same to everybody.
Yeah. Happy holidays to everyone.
Happy holiday.
And thank you for a great year. Thank you to the administration and the teachers and the students, everyone, for doing such a great job of pivoting and managing. And it's been very hard, but I think we can count our blessings. So let's make sure we do that, and onward to 2021.
Yes, thank you. Same to you
And
all.
end with jingle bells.
There you go. Okay. I do need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Well, second.
Saunders, Trustee White.
And anyone, all in favor?
Aye.
And anyone who would like to sing on the way out, please feel free to do that.
Jeff,
Where's Dr.
take that
Hamilton?
on? Hey, Jeff, take that on. I think Jeff and
Yeah,
Dr. Hamilton,
Jeff's the
let's see.
performer.
I'm looking for the leave button, right? See ya.
Be safe,
Be
everybody.
well, everybody.
Be safe.
Bye-bye.
Everybody. Bye-bye.